see why they were comfortable filming 65 videos without me.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when I go back down in June, they want to have me in some of the films, and I'm like, you guys better coach me a whole lot because, not my strength. So, at any rate, they've been fabulous to partner with us. You'll see as we continue.
She just owns the animal print so beautifully.
Doesn't she?
She just, I mean, it's like,
Yeah, it's her.
it's so gorgeous.
But I don't get the animal print with blue jewelry.
I do. It worked for me. It worked for me. I just, yeah.
So,
Jane,
She just worked well.
see, people accessing the site, do they need to start becoming aware of their four-letter type code?
I'll
Just the way
talk
they
to
were
you. That's
talking?
one of the things we
Oh, okay.
did. So, a couple things about the digital considerations. One thing was the site had to have digital appeal. This is not a business site, and I'll show you what the website looks like. They did a major push to try and have this available for me to show at the conference here so that they could get some feedback. And it's not quite completely operational. There are coupons on every table for a conference pricing on being able to go out and access and get your style report. So, and it runs through 22nd April. It should all be operational by I think like Monday or Tuesday was my last email because Jill's been updating me regularly. There's nothing like having an ESFJ project manager. We know exactly where we are. But at any rate, is there the typo? Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, styletypes.com. Thank you. Yeah, I was printing Saturday and leaving Sunday. So at any rate, yes, you can share that through the 22nd of April if you've got a friend or someone else who wants to use that. It's not, we just are working on all that. So that was one. The other thing was having good infographics that not only had appeal, but that we could use in blog posts, put on Facebook, use on the site. And as we started working with them, we realized this is one of the major ways we're going to be helping people decide if they are the right type. And so this became a very intensive process. You're going to get a chance to see two of the sets of infographics for all the types and see what went on, and we'll talk about that in a second. I don't know why I've lost the pairing, so we'll just move this up so I don't have to put it on the desk and continue with things. So those are two of the digital considerations. Another big one is it needed to be accurate, because there's no point in getting people a style report if they're the wrong style. I mean, the differences are huge, for example, in what an INFP and an ISTP want from a stylist or how they approach shopping. So we needed to get them accurately assessed as well as the information, and yet everything had to have a friendly general tone. We weren't going to talk about the third function and differentiation and individuation and all of that, but it had to be. Didn't they do a nice job with extroversion and introversion in that whole bit? That's what we were aiming for. It had to be rich and use type jargon just wisely. So, for example, we do talk about the function pairs because when I did the analysis of all our data, the correlations were around the function pairs. That the STs, the SFs, the NFs, the NTs have the most in common around style, and actually it's the last three letters. And intuitively, you kind of know this, that ESTJ, ISTJ, for example, have a similar classic approach to how they dress. And that goes for all the pairings. And but we looked at everything. We thought it might be interaction styles. We thought it might be dominant function. We actually looked at all of them before we settled on the function pairs, and especially, so those are our 4 super styles. So when you learn about the super styles, and I'll show you this in the best fit process, we do actually talk about the function pairs, and it's about how you take in information and make decisions. We realized we didn't have enough time to come up with great names for those styles. When you look at the interaction styles, and you heard it here behind the scenes, that says it for it, right? And that's one of the reasons the interaction styles are so powerful. We know what in charge, chart the course. They're great names. We didn't have time to nail it for the function pairs. I think we will eventually. As a matter of fact, maybe in Brisbane in October we'll do a brainstorm and see how close we can get, or maybe we'll have it by then. But that is really, it had to be consumer friendly, and yet anyone who knows type needed to be able to know what we had out there. We had to decide what would be free, and there's quite a bit that's free at the website. There's going to be a members-only bit because Jill and Imogen want to make money off of this. I'm just tagging along, and I get a cut, so this is really nice. And then there'll be a paid site because this is robust information. The reports are 30 pages. And then we thought, you know what, this is worthless again unless they have their best fit type. And we went round and round on how do we do this? How do we make sure people coming in get the right report? And we actually had lots of conversations with Rob about possibly doing type coach. And there's this, Rob is corporate, as he should be, and we are not corporate, as you'll see on the website. And all of a sudden it occurred to Jill and me that, of course, type coach does dichotomies, and we're doing function pairs, so our best fit process needed to start in a totally different place. And so that's what happened. But just so you can see what we did, this is the opening page to the website. I hope you think it's as nice as I do. And actually I can there is a huge visual appeal to it. Let me just, we'll get out to it in a second because we're going to do something else on there. So I get to change my mind, don't I? Okay. Then this is a sample of the infographics that came up. So there's 16 of these that get at the essence of a person's style. So for the ESTP, we talk about they're adept at improving and adapting in many areas of life and discovering treasures others miss. They take a systems approach to style, which then allows for the spontaneity they crave. They identify their personal style parameters and then work within them. So we've got this. And Jill did all of this. And she did it quickly because they decided we needed all this by this week. And this is where people go, well, Jill must be an intuitive because she's so creative. What she did was find this amazing infographic kit with all these elements. And all she had to do was learn how to pull the elements together to make exactly what she wanted. And she found out, you've got to spot the ESFJ because there's a little leopard skin roller bag on it. She could detail this down to that level. And what I want to say is every single infographic Imogen, Jill, and I agreed on. And we had major discussions about the icons, the colorings, everything, trying to get it just right. Because we want people to get out to this and go, this is me, or no, this can't be me, especially in the best fit type process. So I call it creativity with the known. You get an idea, you vet it with someone, you find the supplies you need. An intuitive approach would be more creating something from nothing, creativity with the new, creating all these infographics from scratch, and that's not how Jill operates. Is there any lack of creativity in this? Absolutely not. It's just the sensing gift of creativity. So that's what there's actually two sets of infographics. The other, I don't have a real good picture of this, but these are from some of the blogging, so there's a whole different artistic look to how, this is Imogen's set. So they have the same information, but different graphics for different purposes. So it's pretty incredible for the visual bit of the digital age. And, this is some of the text that we developed. And Rob, I realized we stuck with the values off of Type Coach. I hope that's okay, because, when we switched the reports, we never thought about that. I realized it when I was putting this together. So the paragraph up at the front of every style types report does have some type information, but it is tailored towards style, and it's in a really friendly tone. So it talks about you're an ideas person who thrives on time alone to synthesize possibilities and plan to make them become reality. You seek a sweet spot, not wishing to draw undue attention to yourself through your clothing, but also not wanting to fade into the background or draw attention for the wrong reasons. So that's a statement around INFJ, and it's how I operate with how I present, how I do other things. It's not just style, but we're tailoring it that way and keeping it friendly. So that should make sense. And then, here's the example. It's rich with this wise use of type. We've got this whole blog on the super styles. What are they and what do they tell you? And this goes into the function pairs. So unless you're interested, you never have to go look at this. This is a blog that you can connect to as you're trying to learn more. But the information is there. And there's a lot of these. They've got, there might be 30 blogs already on the site. I can't remember what their goal is before they officially launch, but it's pretty incredible. And then there's this whole idea of the free and members only. And if you know your personality type, you can go into the system and get your report for a fee without having to go through our best fit type process. And we decided it's going to cost the same either way because we don't want people who've taken a freebie on the internet going out and thinking they know their type. We know 50% are wrong at least, right? So if you click on the left, you actually have to answer some questions like, did you take an actual instrument and not a free quiz on the internet? Was it interpreted by someone who knew what they were doing? I can't remember what the 4 questions are, but it's that sort of thing. Okay, you did those things, click, you get your report. And then on the right, you get to go through our best fit process. And this was a late January brainstorm that we needed to do this ourselves. And Jill wrote all the scripts in like a 1-week period and sent them all to me for review on how this was going. And the way it works is through the function pairs. Because if we can get them to their super style, the chances of them having the right report is pretty big, right? I mean, they'll at least be, most of the information will apply, even if they're a letter off. They'll still feel like there's some value. So we're starting with the function pairs. When people go out, we want them to differentiate between them. And there are, let's just see what I put on here. So the function pairs is the first step. Then, because we know this is the next big chunk, they decide between J or P. And it's fairly easy to create a video, a script, and an infographic that helps people decide, say, between ISTP and ESTP. All you have to do is really emphasize how that I should find it. I won't right now, but you'll be able to read what we did in the little paragraphs is like the essence of what the difference is. So ESTJ and ISTJ, I can remember off the top of my head is, that the ESTJ talks about organizing the external world, and ISTJ talks about a quiet life with keeping all the details under control. So there's such, you can get at the essence, and hopefully people will recognize themselves. And if they can't, there's more information to click on and go find out and watch the videos and all that. And then it's E or I. And that's not that hard either. I just said it wrong in the other part. ESTP, ESTJ. Is it fairly easy to differentiate between those? I think so, because I'm married to one. But then, that's the second step, getting the J or P, and then the third step is E or I. And there's videos, there's readings, there's compare contrast with images, so we've kind of got it all hit. If you don't like what you find, if it doesn't ring true, you can go back as many times as you need to, find more information, do other things. So that is how that works. And what we're going to do is do some roaming. I'm just going to set up some stations, and we're going to take about, I think, 15, 20 minutes. I'll see when people are kind of done, and we'll come back. Because what I want is to hear your questions, your comments, your ahas, your what, buts, all those kinds of things. And I think the best way to do that is to just let you do what in a school we call it a poster walk, or a gallery walk, or stations. So around the room are paired up. On this side are all the introverted types. Thank you, Susan Nash, for taping these all up. Since I didn't know what room I was in, I didn't know how to set things up till 10:15. And then on this side are all the extroverted types. So you have their style essence page with the 4 icons and their style challenge page, so you can roam the gallery and see what we're saying about each type. Then I've also got the basics of our best fit process. So on this table, I'm going to put the 4 function pair infographics. So you can see how we're differentiating between ST, SF, NF, and NP. And these will get spread out as people are working with it. Then on this table, you'll get a taste for how we go between STJ and STP. I'll just put these here so you can take a look. And then over here, you'll see how we do the final one. Are you ESTP or ISTP? So you'll be able to, is there a cleaner table? Boy, yeah, we'll go back here. So you can take a look at what we did with this. And remember, this is just the icons. There's also the videos, the script, other things that are going on. Let's see. And then I did bring one report. So this is the style types report. And all I can say is, are these gorgeous or what? I mean, this is not a business report. This is a style report. And so you can get a look at the kind of information that we are providing. And I will stick this
That no one here would do ISTP.
That's right.
This must be targeted primarily for women.
It is. We had men involved in the review process, and they agreed with everything. Is the one thing I'll say. But just that's not it. Put on your glasses and then you can slide. Where'd it go? Hopefully I'm still signed in. Say this is the site as it is now, and I think it's pretty cool. Every time I go out, there's something new. Did they do a nice job? So there we go with how to find your style, and it's almost operational. And then you can click over to all the blogs that they've got. So you think about this whole idea of what does the digital age mean that other things don't.
Well, Jane, remember you also interviewed some younger people also. So
That's right, if they had a sense of style. Oh, that was a good one. The ESFP, we said, how do you organize your closet? She picks up her laptop and goes into the closet and shows us. Anyone else think of doing that? But here's what all the blog posts look like. Just everything up there. From type information, what is psychological type like anyway, to all the other things. Why you'll never turn up to a party and find an INTJ wearing the same outfit as you. How does the INTP's innate striving for excellence impact their style? Does that sound more attractive to you, Catherine? Why the INFJ has such a unique style expression. Discover how form and function influence the ESTP style. So it's all, everything points back to the type, what will attract them.
This is a remarkable amount of work.
Yes,
you did, yeah.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
This is I was the research person behind it. Like I say, it's an amazing treat every time I go out and see what they've done. So, again, take a look at what's on the posters. You've got our best fit type process going across the room. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. And then you can take a look at the report. And we'll come back together in about 15 minutes, and I'd love your comments, questions, and everything at that point. Gardening with matching spangles, and her neighbor was and the suitcase contrast between the ISTJ going on vacation with her ESFP friend's suitcase. The type will out. Other comments or questions? Since Jill and Imogen will watch this, can we give a round of applause for what they have done? We so often see shallow applications of type, and they have taken this to a real depth, haven't they? It's just amazing.
At first glance, this could seem quite shallow, but there is a depth to it. Even just in this information, there's some depth in the precision of the language.
Yeah. So, any comments on our best fit type process?
I like it.
Obviously it's not tested yet. We've actually is Sarah in here? No. Sarah's one of our testers, and we've got other people lined up to just try it and see before it goes live if there's anything that's not working terribly well. But we can change it over time. Yeah.
I actually think it's really clever the way you've done the function pairs together, rather than saying, no, this is what sensing is, and this is what intuition is, and this is what thinking is, because you've kind of got people confused right from the
Yeah, and that for this application, we don't. If they want to go get coached, executive coaching based on type, that executive coach is going to verify their type and take them deeper. We just want them to get the right style report, and that was the essence of it.
That's very well done. And then do EI and JV on the side.
Yeah, because then it's actually easy to differentiate between the types, isn't it? You can get at that little bit of to stereotype who sits still and who doesn't. But you can get at it. Yes.
I may say something stupid because I'm still pen and paper, but if I remember well, if may say, this is not the best fit. Have you considered that, okay, I will go to the function pairs, J and P, and I, then I get my report. Have you considered the fact that someone could say, I don't recognize myself in the report, and that it could be a kind of further going to the best fit?
They can go back. We're trying to help them go back before they get the report. And I don't know how Jill and Imogen are exactly protecting that, but there's a spot where there's a pretty decent description of the type, and you can, if it doesn't sound like you, check the other one again. If you want to start over, you can go back to phase 1 or phase 2. You can go wherever you want and try again. And again, there's videos, there's narrative, script, there's the icons to compare. So there's 3 ways to get the information to verify your type. So, David.
Am I right to understand that, well, as far as like color palettes and stuff, it's less about personality type, more about skin complexion?
Exactly.
And stuff? Okay, so my report isn't going to be like, go.
No, but it might tell you something like, you're better, and I'm making this up, you're better off reading a book about it versus you're going to want to go to an expert to get this. People of your type want to go get their style done, or they rely on this or that. Or people of your type tend to avoid this. This is why you might want to. So, yeah.
I think this is great and very, very helpful in everyday life to find the right things to wear. But for me, there's a little bell going off in my head, and going back to Sue's trickster function from yesterday. What about authenticity? What about us just being who we are? If really our type is reflected in what we wear, who's to say it's right or wrong, good or bad?
That is some types are more vulnerable than others to not wearing what they should wear. Like, we found that
Where did the should come from?
the sensing feelers, only the ESFP said, I just wore what my friends wore and didn't realize it didn't work for me. This was a 5'11", is she?
Oh, you're talking about,
Carly, no.
not Carly, can't believe that.
Paige.
Paige,
How tall is she?
but she's 5'11".
5'11", and she was wearing the same kinds of clothes that her mother wore and her friends wore, and they didn't work for her. But she just, the ESFP going along with her, we're going shopping at Gap, let's buy at Gap. She just did it. Or wearing what your mother wore, or going along with the office uniform, not realizing that you could change it up a little bit and look much better. So there are types that are vulnerable to that.
But what's the underlying assumption there about the should? Like, is it for them to be more fully expressed, for them to be accepted by their peers, fit into culture? What's the underlying assumption?
Our underlying assumption is that if you aren't wearing what's right for your body type, for your coloring, for what feels like you, just like I feel a little bit like I'm in costume today, you can't be your full self in other ways. And so we had, like, the INFPs were one of the most likely to say, style isn't important, I should be able to be myself. And then they realized, and this is what's in those pages on, are you style unaware, are you starting to come into it? It was the reasons people gave for not paying attention to style. And then the INFP realizes, for example, I am so environmentally conscious and wearing so few things that it's actually impacting the way I'm putting myself across. I've overemphasized one value to the neglect of another, and I've got to recalibrate. Now, how do I do that and still feel comfortable not having a whole stylish wardrobe? This is one example. So, it's the incongruence like in anything else. Or the ISTP who suddenly realizes they have no style, they aren't interested in it, and so they're going to have somebody else put together their capsule wardrobe. That's not what a lot of types do.
So is the idea that if you actually follow your style type, you'll feel more comfortable in yourself?
You'll feel you at the same time you're putting yourself across the way that feels authentic to you.
So it's not like it's not like manipulative dressing to overcome. It's actually authentic.
Unless that's what you want, as I demonstrated with the one.
Dressing.
I think that you're trying to create resonance between what you are inside and how you are projecting yourself. So, imagine me in black and white, walking into a room and my shoes are polished, and, rather than the person who would, fumble around, have stuff on my desk, and you know what I mean? So it would feel, and very constricting too, because you'd have to think so much about how to be that thing you're wearing.
And the ENFJs talked about, whatever I have on is my immediate connection with people. So what I have can't be to overdress, underdress. If I'm working with clients from a lower socioeconomic status, I'm going to change what I dress compared to another group. And it's not manipulative. It's about how do I make that instant connection. My clothes can't get in the way. The INFP that we interviewed, she has a counseling wardrobe, an artistic friend wardrobe. I mean, she actually like categorizes her life, and that's where she goes to get what she's going to wear for the day to be authentic.
So when I was much younger, and I didn't realize that ENFJ characters are as intense as they really are. I kept trying to sort of like not admit that. I used to wear a lot more flowery kind of poofy. Of course, it was a different era too. A lot more poofy sort of things. And I had a very dear friend say to me, when you show up in a room, what you wear, like it looks nice, except that it's not who you are. And she said, people get, you actually shock people with your intensity because it's incongruent with what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the most powerful things that anybody ever said to me about style. And I started really thinking about, like, well, why am I wearing those things? And it was my ESFJ sister, of course, who had convinced me those things looked good on me. But they didn't match who I really am. And it's been a long series of changing that and really kind of, it's really owning your energy, I think.
Yeah. And ESFJs and ENTJs tend to be your best sources of fashion advice for very, very different reasons. But that's, just keep that in mind. If you don't have a friend of those types, you might want to go find one because they keep you from wasting money too. I was thinking, just like another difference, the ESTJs, they often do want a uniform. Jean Kumaro talked. She when she trained the certification program, which was 4 days long, she had a Monday outfit, a Tuesday outfit, a Wednesday outfit, a Thursday outfit, in decreasing corporate dress because you don't need to look as impressive on the fourth day. And that just went into her suitcase every time she traveled to teach the MBTI certification. Oh, like Susan Nash is going, okay.
I understand you get that as well. It makes sense.
Yeah, and one of the things Sue Blair said is, buying multiples is efficient and dangerous because you can start to be boring. And so Sue talked about learning to always put a twist on things. One of the ESTJs, when we asked for photos, sent photos of her favorite outfits, and we had to zoom in to see that they were different. Like she actually had on, because it looked so similar, which is great. She found something that worked, but so that like the essence of why we do it, and then when we realized, like you found out you were being too intense. Sue talked, you were frank about, I found out I was boring. But you're still going to want to be tailored and appropriate and all those things, but then the twist comes with, how many scarves do you own?
Oh, no, many. I've got bags of scarves under my bed.
Yeah, because that's one of the ways she does her twist. Her little twist it up, make it look different.
It was a big debate for me this morning, actually, as to whether I could actually be at this conference and present with a pair of jeans on. That's just, I was thinking, I could do the presentation. Is it okay? Is it
You have jeans on?
Yeah, I have got jeans on.
She's quite stylish.
So
Sue is never.
I did have a major thing in my mind as to, is this appropriate? Is this okay? And I decided that yes, it was. So I'm feeling very comfortable with you all.
Was that also
Well, by the way-
presentation specific? Would you have worn jeans for the other presentation?
No, the other one was not getting jeans. Today.
So, any other? We're kind of out of time. But are there any other comments or questions?
I'm eclectic. I don't get what you're talking about. I honestly don't get it. I saying, what do I feel like today, and I'll go to the wardrobe and take that. And anyone who knows, like this colour, I might wear an Indian outfit today, and tomorrow I'll wear a corporate dress, or just depends on what I feel like, and I'm going to the same place.
And I think a lot of that is
ISFP.
But you have a dramatic, like one of your favorite styles is the dramatic approach.
Yeah.
Thinking of like what you wore to Amino's wedding.
Yeah.
And so part of it is an ISFP with the dramatic is going to have that eclectic approach, thinking about things. But I have shopped with you, and you walk into a store, and if the color isn't there, you're out of there. So
Exactly.
there are those pieces, and you know the shapes that work for you. And you're in there touching and feeling and checking things out and knowing what it is. So I can see the patterns. Whereas another ISFP, like my sister-in-law ISFP, and this was unique to the ISFPs, that it's kind of like they either care about their clothing or there's some other artistic area of their life. So their home is this gorgeous environment, and that's my sister-in-law. She was a social worker, so she has like 4 pair of pants and 5 shirts, and hasn't worn a dress. And I've known her for 40 years now. It's been a long time since she had a dress on. But the decor of her home, and she's a floral designer, and that's where all her stuff goes. And we saw that split only with ISFP. Yeah.
Can I just make one more build? I'm an NT, I'm an ENT.
Right.
I don't like the word should, I don't like the word ought to, I don't like the word must. The more you're telling me what I have to do, the less likely I am to take the advice. I don't know if that's in the report when it's sent in that language, but for me that wouldn't work. It switched me off totally. Whereas when I got advice about what I was not wearing that wasn't really fitting in, it was somebody who said to me, it was actually about a watch I wore, an old watch I had as a child that was very dear to me, and I was working in the corporate environment, and the person said, that watch, it's just not credible, and if you haven't credibility is in it, you're not going to be able to build trust. And I went out straight away and bought a new watch. It was, if this is going to get in the way of building trusted relationships, the watch is gone.
And the
It's
advice
still there to me, I can put it away somewhere else, I can wear it in my spare time, but if it's going to get in the way, and that for me just was the rationale that helped me to take the advice immediately. And I don't know if there's a wording difference between the types.
There is, but also all the reports, it's about what worked for other people like you. So you're going to get a thing like INFJs usually make up their own style rules. It's not about you can't wear white after Labor Day. It's stuff we found by making mistakes. And so another INFJ, hopefully we read that and go, wow, have I thought about what my own things are? ENTPs we talk about, often they don't care until they realize it's affecting their credibility, and then they look for the advice. This is where other ENTPs have how they've done it. And so hopefully you go, that doesn't work, this does, and find it that way.
So it's not prescriptive, it's descriptive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are some, just like the Type Coach report has 7 ways to find balance. We've got like 7 tips that really bring home the style for this type. And it would be things like I was talking to Marky about the ENFJ. The mirror is their friend. They're usually 95% there. And you said you even do this with clients. Sit down in front of a mirror and see if it's working. Turn around and look at the back, because ENFJs are dominant feelers, not dominant sensing types, and they can miss little things like, well, that really doesn't look good on certain challenge areas, is what we call it. Challenge areas. And whereas the ESFJ automatically, and the ESTPs in the dressing room, they're going like this and checking it out. Now, the ESFJ doesn't care if it feels good as long as it looks right? But they've got to have that piece. So we can continue this at lunch, and thank you so much for your time.